Welcome to the Thanksgiving edition of A Small Creator Sunday. Check out all of the Thanksgiving creations today done by the members of our playlist and get some inspiration. DIY number 1. So I've got this tray that I made a while back and I'm just going to change it up a little bit, and I'm going to use this placemat that I picked up at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut it out and I'm going to put it inside there. And the greatest thing about it is I can just pop it right out. I don't have to, I'm not going to glue it in or anything. And, I can interchange it that way. So I've measured and cut my little circle there, and it is just a hair too small. That's like 1/8 of an inch. But I'm going to fix that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this super thick macrame cord that I have, and I'm just going to glue around the edge, and it'll, kind of help keep it in place a little bit, and it will hide that gap. So as you can see here, I'm just hot gluing right on the very edge around this round here, just to, like I said, kind of fill in that gap and hold it in place a little better. And I am going to try and secure it just a little bit more, just to make sure it won't fall out. Now it fits in here nicely, and I can pop it right out of there, but I'm not too sure how secure that is, so I'm going to go ahead and take some just double-sided tape and put a couple little pieces just right on the inside there to just, hold it in place. Make sure that it stays secure. And with those little pieces of tape on there, I can just set it down on here and it'll sit and it won't fall out. And I think this is just super cute for Thanksgiving to, serve drinks or snacks or whatever on when, family comes over. DIY number 2. If you saw my Shop Your House collab video, then you saw this candlestick. I'll link it up there. And I'm going to go ahead and tear this apart. These were hot glued down pretty well. That Surebonder hot glue is no joke. It did not want to come off. But this part under here is easy enough for me to slip out. I didn't glue anything down. The way the thing curves, I can just like tuck a swag inside there, and I don't have to glue anything down. I can just, take a little wire and wire it up. Don't have to glue anything. I did with the little, with the bows and the pine cones, but yeah, no harm, no foul. It's an enameled surface, and the Surebonder glue does end up coming up. So just taking the wire off of the swag that I made in that video, and now it's back to normal. So here I've got many pieces of fall things, stuff I've thrifted. You've seen those videos. I've found all kinds of florals, fall florals, Christmas florals. Just, I don't have to get anything new for a while. Although that's a lie. I did pick some up from Hobby Lobby recently and from Walmart, but that's beside the point, So here I'm just kind of messing about with different, picks, trying to decide what I think I want. This is going to be for Thanksgiving, and you'll see here later on in the video how I want to style a table for it. So I'm just going to wire some stuff together I think looks nice, and again, I'll try to do the same thing on both sides. It's mostly symmetrical. I like it matchy on either side. That's just me. I want it to look the same, so I'm going to wire them to a point, and then I'm also going to cut them to make them shorter. I figure once I put these together, I'm going to reuse these picks this way for this particular thing. This is going to be a piece that I can switch out the floral, switch out the decor on it through the seasons, holidays, whatever, like the one you saw previous was for Christmas. This was for Thanksgiving. So, I can put these together, save them to the side, and okay, well, what are we going to do? We're going to put this for Easter, or this for, you know, whatever other celebrations we might have, and, you know, just change it out for the year, for the season, for the, you know, for the event. So I'm just going to go ahead and wire this swag together and slip it in there in the center. I guess I jumped the gun a little bit on that. I've got this maple leaf garland, I guess, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wire that. Also, I'm going to fold it over and over and over on itself to, you know, bunch it up, because I want to use that as well. So I'm just going to take the pumpkin picks, I guess I'll call them. I've just got a bunch of different fall florals in there, and I'm going to put those together with the maple leaves, and that's what's going to go in the center. I'll just wire them up with some craft wire that I have, and wire it all together. So I've got those put together. Have a nice big bunch here of different fall things. So I can just like manipulate it, kind of get it into shape, and I can just kind of slide it in there. It's got like a little hook part there, so I don't really have to do anything else. I mean, it's in there. It's not going to go anywhere. I don't really even have to wire it. You know, if I'm moving it around maybe, but I don't really have to. So I'm going to take some of these other pieces that had fallen off. This thing must be really old because it just started falling apart. And I'm just going to kind of glue in where, you know, there might be spaces. You can see like the, you know, like where the rubbery bit is there. So it just kind of hides it. Makes it look a little cleaner, fills it up some more, just adding little bits here and there. I'm also going to take that same burlap ribbon that I used on the Christmas one, and I'm going to stick it in there as well. It's, you know, wasn't glued in or anything, so I can just reuse it for anything I think it'll look good for. And I think it really fits. It fits this better than it did the Christmas one, to tell the truth. For the Christmas one, I should probably use like buffalo check or something. And I considered doing some bows, but I think this just is enough. As I said in my intro, this is Small Creator Sunday. This is a challenge that I created for crafty DIY YouTube creators who have less than 1,000 subscribers, to try to help them grow their channels. Each month has a theme, and this month's theme is, of course, Thanksgiving, since it's only a couple of days away. I'm joined by one of my YouTube besties, Sarah from Can Sarah DIY It, as my co-host. I will link her and the playlist in the description box below. Make sure you check out all of the different videos. There's going to be all kinds of Thanksgiving goodness. So I'm excited to share all this with you. Let's get back into the crafting. DIY number 3. Now here I've got a foam pumpkin that was part of a huge fall decor craft haul thing that I thrifted. And I'm going to take it and that glass base and a little piece of stick, and I'm going to make a pumpkin pedestal. I saw a lot of these during Halloween, and I think I've inadvertently created something that's cottagecore. I don't know. You'll have to let me know in the comments below if that's what this ends up being. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to paint the pumpkin, and I'm going to paint the pedestal, and I'm going to just, you know, zhuzh it up with some fall florals, leaves, things like that, colors, and just, you know, I don't know. I kept looking at these things, trying to decide how I was going to use them, and that's what I did. So, yeah. So for the pumpkin, I'm going to use the Folk Art Terracotta line, and I'm using Clay Pot. It's a really, really pretty orange color. And for the vase, I'm going to use the forest moss in the folk art acrylic. And I want to go ahead and get that pumpkin painted with this right now. Okay, so that's done. And onto the vase, I'll go ahead and paint that with the forest moss. Now, what I did was I used the matte Mod Podge and I put a layer underneath and I went over because I wanted it to have a matte finish. So the next part is just hot gluing. Well, I'm going to put the little stem in here first, and I'm hot glue that stem down into the pumpkin, and then I'm going to hot glue the pumpkin onto the vase. Now I'm going to go ahead and decorate it and take a little piece of this leaf garland here. I'm just kind of wrap it around and tack it down with some hot glue. Give it a little flair there underneath the pumpkin. Now I'm going to add some leaves and other little bits to the top, and I realized I was out of frame. I do rectify that, but I'm just hot gluing little pieces of leaves and stuff. I don't know, did I use Spanish moss? I think I did. So, just grabbing some random fall stuff and gonna glue to the top. Ah, there, I fixed my angle. So just got some leaves there, like I said, just random fall things, and got a little flower, some berries, some Spanish moss, just some pretty little sprigs of stuff, just to give it a nice little dressing up. I think it's pretty cute. I don't know, you guys let me know what you think. Is this cottagecore? I think it is. DIY number 4. Now this one I'm going to paint this gourd, and I'm going to use another terracotta, and this one is cavern moss, and I'm going to mix it with some of the forest moss from folk art to get like a sagey color, I guess. So I'm going to put the two together and I'm going to paint this gourd. So I'm just going to mix the colors on my little, well, it's supposed to be a spoon rest, but you know, hey, whatever. It's silicone. So I'm just going to mix them together and try to get the color I'm looking for. As you can tell, it's still pretty green. What I do is I end up adding some more gray to it. It wasn't giving me the sage color I was looking for. It's getting a little closer, which is still so green. So I'm adding even more, if I can get it to work. No, I think I end up going with this, what's this, French gray, the folk art French gray. So I'm going to add a little bit of that to it and just keep working until I get the color that I want. Now the color may not look much different to you, but it really was pretty different to me. I had already sprayed this whole gourd with an acrylic sealer. These are real. My mom had given them to me. She had them for a while. They just dried out perfectly. So I'm going to use the antique gold in the folk art metallic for the two little end stem things. I have another pumpkin that I painted as well with the Waverly plaster, I think it was, and I did the stem in that same gold too. But I thought it was a cute little addition, just, you know, kind of give it a little bit of shine there. So they look pretty good like that. If anybody has any tips on how to dry out the gourds and stuff, let me know. I tried it and it was a fail. DIY number 5. So I got this little pumpkin, and my mom had given it to me. She wasn't sure if it was something that my grandpa had made or if it was given to him. It's got a little base that comes off, but she gave me free rein to change it up. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to make a sign out of it for the Thanksgiving table. I'm going to paint the pieces, and I'm going to cover each side with a different scrapbook paper. I didn't have anything really Thanksgiving in my scrapbook stash, but I really like these colors, kind of go with the colors that I've been using. It's got the sage, and it's It's kind of a plaster, a Waverly plaster, kind of like, or folk art, I guess oatmeal. It's that creamy color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace around the papers for each side, and I'm going to go ahead and Mod Podge those on to the pumpkin. And I'm also going to paint the pumpkin and the stem and all of that jazz. I've got my pieces cut, and I'm going to paint the pumpkin because you'll see the edge there. And I'm going to use the home decor chalk paint in oatmeal, and that's folk art. And as you can see, it really is, it pretty much matches. So I'm going to use that to paint the whole thing, and then I'm going to use the forest moss to paint the pedestal. But once I have them cut, now I'm going to make them, I'm going to make it into a sign. Okay, so I can thank my daughter Jaden for helping me with this idea, because the only thing I could think of was have a seat, let's eat. But I was like, I need something to go for the other side. So she helped me figure that part out. And if you're wondering why I put that transfer tape over there, it's because I'm going to weed it, and I don't like getting stuck to my board there. So I'm going to go ahead and separate these two sayings out that I cut out with my Cricut. And I'm using just a cute gold vinyl. So it would, you know, not be too, I don't know, I didn't want it to be too dark, and I wanted it to match okay. And, you know, it's kind of shiny. So I'm going to go ahead and weed those. And my idea was I wanted the sign to have two parts, like, okay, you can come eat now, or hey, it's not ready yet. So what she came up with was this: you gotta wait to grab your plate. I thought that was super cute. And, you know, mine is just lame. I think it says something like, take your seat, it's time to eat, I think is what it says. So, you know, I could just like flip it around as per, you know, the way it's going or whatever, since I'll be doing the cooking. Was hoping to have all of us here, which isn't going to happen, unfortunately. And my daughter with my youngest grandson can't make it for this holiday, hopefully for Christmas. And my oldest daughter is in Ohio and is unable to travel out this year. Anyway, so there's my vinyls, and this is for something else. So I'm just going to continue and weed these out and prepare them to be added to the sign. Now I've got those weeded, and I can go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and just transfer them onto the paper first before I Mod Podge everything. As you can see over there, the pumpkin has been painted. And this transfer tape, I can't remember which brand it is, came from Amazon. I didn't pull up any paper with it, so I was super happy. It's a low stick, so it was great to transfer onto the scrapbook paper. If I can find out which brand it is, I'll link it. I can't remember though. So, yeah, I think it works out okay. You can't really see it there, but look at, once you know, turn it around and move it, it, you know, shows, because it's got that metallic finish to it. So it just depends on how the light hits it. But I think it worked out really well, and I hope they like it. I think it's kind of cute. And, you know, as a mom or dad, anybody who's the one in charge of doing the Thanksgiving cooking, you know, how many times you got people up in your face like, where's the food, trying to come in the kitchen and sneak bites or whatever. It's like, you get tired of telling them, right? So you just want something to be like, look, read it. Leave me alone, let me finish this. You're gonna have to hold your horses, you know. So I thought this would be a funny little you know, just kind of a little thing on that. And, you know, pretty sure my family will appreciate that. I'll just point to the sign. So I'm just using some satin finish Mod Podge on this, and if you can tell, I went ahead and I cut off the stems of the papers because I wanted the stem to show through. And I think I actually added some oatmeal to that forest moss to tone it down a little bit when I painted the stems on the pumpkin and the stand as well. So I just speed up through this. You know, I'm just putting out layer Mod Podge and, you know, pushing the paper down, and then, you know, same thing on the other side. I'm just kind of going along the edges. I didn't really do the center. I'm thinking, you know, in case I decide I want to change it at another time in the future, it'll be easier to, you know, get the paper off that way. And, you know, just go ahead and let all of it dry, and I Mod Podge over top of the whole thing. I don't know if I actually show that or not. Maybe I just do the edges. I don't remember. It's been a while. So make sure to get it all secure and let it dry. And now that it's all together, I kind of wrecked the very bottom, so I'm just going to take some twine and wrap around, kind of hide where that paper tore a little bit. I wasn't thinking about the way it was made. It's very tight fit for the wood in that stand, and adding a layer of paper on either side, the stand did not want to go back on it. So I had to, you know, kind of fix that. So I'm just going to, you know, I'm going to take some twine and wrap around the bottom of that, and I'm going to put a little decoration on the top. I'm going to hot glue where I tied that right there on the side just to secure the twine. And yeah, just add a little flower, a little leaf, a little sprig of whatever that dried stuff there is, and dress it up a little. So tell me, what you guys are doing for Thanksgiving? Do you have any special traditions or special dishes that you guys like to make? Let me know. We've got all the stuff. I'm going to do most of the cooking. My mom's going to make the pies, and she makes a green bean casserole, and I do pretty much everything else. Yeah. So I think this is looking cute. Just adding a couple little maple leaves, just to give it a little, I don't know, a little extra something. I think it's cute, and I needed to use up a lot of those fall florals. If you remember that video, I got a whole bunch of stuff, so I need to use them. And hello, Mr. Fly. Yeah, I like this. I think it's super cute. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's me. But I think it'll be around for a while. And that's pretty much it. Just holding it in there and securing it, and it's all done. Fluffing it out. There it is. So they know when it's time to eat or when they have to wait. DIY number 6. Of course, you'd know I just had to make a gnome. I've got a gnome body and Spanish moss that I don't use. Don't use that pumpkin, I don't think either, but just some other stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and put a gnome together. So I have this peachy napkin, and I'm going to just kind of wrap it around my gnome body. I don't glue it or anything like that. I'm trying to make more of these gnomes to be reusable, I guess, or where I can take them apart without really damaging anything. And try not to use as much glue to do this stuff. So what I'm doing here is I'm just taking a hair tie and tying it together, and that's how I'm going to secure that, just with the hair tie. So I've got that put together. Now what I want to do is, I don't want to glue a beard on. I'm going to use some of these Velcro dots that I have to adhere it, and I'm using this that car cloth thing from the Dollar Tree because it's fuzzy. And at the time of making this gnome, I didn't actually have any white faux fur. I have since gotten some from Hobby Lobby, but that's fine. So, I actually think I think I don't actually use this after all. Yes, I do. Scratch that. What I did was I used this for the base for my beard. That's what I did. Y'all, I have a cold and my brain has been on a like a Benadryl and Dayquil fog for like the last 3 days. So if my voice sounds a little weird, it's because I'm kind of stuffy and bleh. Okay. Let's start that again. Okay, so I'm using this car cleaning cloth from the Dollar Tree and I'm cutting off a bit of it to use as a base for my beard on my gnome. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it to size, and then I'm going to use these Velcro dots that I have. They're 3M adhesive on either side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those on the napkin and I'm going to put them on the fabric. And I'm not sewing anything. I'm just going to let the adhesive do the work. It will come off. That's what I want. It's not going to damage the fabric. It's not going to damage the napkin, anything like that. So this is a craft that I can put together. I can do it the way I want. And then at the end of the season, I can take it apart and no harm done. I have a beard and I have a hat that will be, you know, that will be connected. The beard and the hat will be connected. They'll be together, but they will not be glued to the body of the gnome, which I can take apart and reuse later. Now to make the hat, I finally learned how. It took me forever. It's so simple. I feel so dumb. But I'm just taking this brown fabric and I'm folding it. I don't even know why I'm doing it like this. So I'm folding it into a square, basically. I'm going to cut it a square and then fold it into a triangle, cut the triangle. Then what I'm going to do is round off the edge of the triangle. So it's like a cone, right? So whenever I glue it together, it's a cone shape. So I'm just running a bead of hot glue down along the seam and, you know, bringing the edges together or whatever. And as you can see, it's got a nice rounded end there, nice little cone shape taking form here for the hat. And I'll just continue on with that and turn it right side out. I'm going to take a piece of that of mop yarn from a Dollar Tree mop head, and I'm going to glue a little strip of yarn all the way down around the bottom just to give it a little edge thing. I can't think today. Oh my goodness. I'm doing my voiceover. It's the 19th, so I'm trying to get this done for the 21st. I was ahead. I was doing so well. I got ahead and then I got sick and it was just like, I can't even. So I'm just using some hot glue to keep that yarn together. And I'm just going to go around the hat bottom there to give it a little brim, I guess, you know, a little fuzz thing, whatever. Now I've got my beard base attached and I'm going to use that same mop yarn to make the beard, and I'm just going to glue all this yarn to that fabric that's there, and I'm going to fill it up end to end, top to bottom, with as much of the yarn as I can fit on there. I want it to be really nice and full, and as you can see, I've got one layer down, and I'm going to go ahead and go across again with a whole other layer and use all of that yarn. So I've got that all glued on there, and all I gotta do is stick it back on there. And that guy has a beard, and it's long, and I didn't trim it. I should, but I don't know. I really like it. So his hat's a little too big, but that's okay. And you know, we'll do a little nose, a bead nose. Now I'm gonna glue the hat to the bead, and I'm going to tack it down on either side of the beard, and then I'm also going to glue the bead, to the beard. So if you're following, the hat isn't going to be glued to the body. It's going to be glued on either side of the beard and to the nose, and the nose is glued to the beard. So, and I haven't done it yet, but once I take the Velcro off, in theory, should be able to pull all of that off in one fell swoop and leave the body behind. So I'm just tacking it down, avoiding hitting that, that peach fabric. And I mean, really, I could be done with this where it is, but it's a fall Thanksgiving gnome and he needs to be festive. My daughter said it reminded her of Radagast the Brown from the Hobbit movies, and I have to agree with her. he's all nature and harvest, and of all the gnomes I've made so far, I think he's my favorite. And if you remember, I made a spring gnome, I've made a rainbow gnome, I've made the bee gnome, I've done already one Christmas gnome, and I've done this guy. And I really like him a lot. I don't know. I think it's because he's just, he's earthy. I don't know. Maybe that's why. But anyway, so there it is. The hat is glued. And I'll just maybe tack in some little wrinkly bits and just kind of, give it a little, just give it a little body, a little bounce. And now, as you can see here, the fly again, he wanted to help, I guess. I fluffed out the beard, and now he looks like he's got even more beard than he had to begin with. And I do trim it some, but I didn't really take off any length. So I'm just going to glue some stuff in his beard because, he's a little harvest gnome and he needs to have some fall things in his fur and his hair there. So I'm just going to glue some bits about. Adding some pieces to his hat. This cotton came from a pick from Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, whatever. Pine cones. Just whatever I had that was a part of what I thought was, closest to my fall floral decor. I'm just gonna just decorate him all up. Lots of leaves and pine cones and orangey bits and stuff like that. He really is my favorite. And this is why. Look how cute he is. He's got pollen all over him and leaves and pine cones, and he's just, oh God, he's so adorable. I love him so much. DIY number 7. This one is super easy. I just cut out some vinyl on my Cricut. Simple. It says gobble gobble. I used the skinny. It's a Ray Dunn inspired, which I guess I could have just put the word gobble, would have been better, but I mean, I like it. So I just weeded the words out, and using my transfer tape, just gonna apply it to my mug. Pick that mug up at the Dollar Tree for $1. So it's basically a buck. It's not a hard one, easy, and I've already used it a couple of times and it washes up fine. Use a pool noodle to help stabilize your cups whenever you're applying vinyls and stuff like that. It helps. Just slice one in half, and it's a real easy hack to keep your cups from rolling around. But it's super cute and super easy. And I'm ready for my Thanksgiving morning coffee. DIY number 8. Now for this craft, I'm taking some toilet paper roll tubes and I'm going to cut them in half. I've measured them out so they're equal sizes, and I'm just going to take that brown fabric and cut it down into strips, and I'm going to wrap those strips around the tubes to make some napkin rings. So I'm just using my craft knife to go ahead and cut this tube in half. It was easier than using scissors. I didn't want to bend it. So with my fabric, I measured out about 3/4 of an inch, and I'm just cutting it down into strips. And I figured it would be easier to wrap around these little tubes that way. And I didn't even glue anything until the end. So, you know, because it's tucked up in there and I pulled them pretty tight, I didn't really feel the need to glue anything until I got to the very end. So that way it would be, you know, secure. I mean, you're really not going to use them that much, right? So enough to slide it onto the napkin and, you know, take it back off basically. And once I've cut it to the length, this is where I'm going to go ahead and put a little spot of hot glue and hold that in. And now I'm going to decorate the outside, and I have these little maple leaves I'm just going to glue on to the outside there. Just a cute little maple leaf. And here I've got some of the ribbon that I had earlier, and I just cut little strips of the ribbon and glued it together, and I'm going to make some tiny little bows, and I'm just going to tie them up with some twine to go on these napkin rings. Got my little sign out here. Nope, you gotta wait. My napkin rings. I think they turned out really good. I love my candle holder. It's so pretty. I'm a little pumpkin pedestal. And I made this cornucopia out of a wire plant hanger that I just wrapped it with some twine and stuffed it with some pretty things. That was a really cute project. I never filmed that, but I love that candle holder. Oh, that turned out so good. And there's my table. And here's my tiered tray, or my tiered tower. Is my gnome. And I just kind of filled it up with things. Little fall bits and thrifted items. Some gnomes, some pumpkins, pine cones. There's my mug. Little sign I made a while back. Just all kinds of pumpkins. Lots of different crafts that I've made, and things that I've picked up, things that I've grabbed from the thrift store, like the little pilgrim girl there. And there's my pumpkin pedestal again. I moved it over here. I made this tiered tower. I repurposed I had made it into a hanging tiered tower. I repurposed it and just turned it into a regular old tiered tray, and I like it a lot this way. So I'm ready for Thanksgiving. Who else is? I'm gonna spend all week cooking. So much to do. Here's my Thanksgiving sign from my mystery box challenge. I'll link that up there. I think this is probably one of the favorite of my wood round projects that I've done this year so far. It's so cute. I love it so much. And lastly, my little tray that I repurposed. I think it turned out perfect. Let me know what you guys think of all my Thanksgiving stuff. I'm ready to go. It's one of my favorite holidays, as you can tell. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check out the rest of the playlist. Everybody's going to create some awesome Thanksgiving stuff. Make sure to spread that YouTube goodness. Like, comment, subscribe to everybody's channels. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, y'all. Bye.